What if I told you that the very thing millions of men do to stay healthy, to feel alive, to keep their manhood strong, might actually be the reason their erections are failing? Masturbation is supposed to help you, but done wrong, it quietly trains your body for weakness. It's like sharpening a knife on the wrong edge until one day it simply won't cut. I'm Dr. James, a urologist with over 3 decades of experience helping men over 60 reclaim their strength, their intimacy, and their confidence. And one thing I've learned is this: no one teaches older men how to treat their body with wisdom, especially when it comes to something as private and as important as masturbation. You've heard it's healthy, and it is. But what no one warned you is that 3 subtle mistakes, habits you probably picked up decades ago, could be quietly conditioning your body to finish too fast, feel too little, or worse, go completely limp. In this short but powerful lesson, I'll show you the exact 3 mistakes older men make when they touch themselves. I'll also give you the simple, natural corrections to fix each one, without pills, without gimmicks, just using your own body's design. And before we're done, I'll share one bonus tip that can change everything the next time you're with a partner. Let's start with the most dangerous mistake of all, the one that turns healthy pleasure into a silent form of self-sabotage. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another vital tip to strengthen your body, boost your confidence, and protect your manhood after 60. And if this message resonates with you, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can serve you better. Your feedback helps me help more men like you. Let's begin with the first mistake, one that seems harmless, even normal, but over time it quietly rewires your body for failure. It's the habit of rushing. And if you've ever felt like you finished too fast even when you didn't mean to, this might be the real reason why. Mistake number 1. The 100-yard dash, rushing through it. I want to share something with you that I rarely say in public, but I've seen it in too many of my patients to stay silent. I remember one man, 67 years old, came to me red-faced and embarrassed. Not because he had a disease, not because of a serious injury, but because he whispered, "Doc, I can't last more than a minute. I don't know what's wrong with me." We sat down, and after talking for a while, I asked him a simple question. "How do you masturbate?" He looked at me like I'd asked him his bank account number. And then he admitted, he rushed it, every time. In and out, no thought, no patience, just get it done. Sound familiar? I call it the 100-yard dash, a habit where the goal is to finish quickly, maybe because you're short on time, or maybe it's become an automatic routine you don't even think about anymore. But here's the hard truth. What feels like a small private habit is actually a form of sexual conditioning. Every time you rush to finish, your brain learns that arousal should be fast, that orgasm is a quick release, and that sex is just another task to check off the list. And the more you repeat that, the more your nervous system hardwires that behavior as your default response. Now think about what happens when you're with a real partner. You want to enjoy the moment. You want to connect. But your body doesn't respond the way you hoped. You're eager, maybe even a little nervous, and before you can even settle into the experience, it's over. And then you feel it, that sting of disappointment. The guilt, maybe even shame. You say, "Next time will be different," but next time never is. That's because your body isn't broken, it's trained. And just like any athlete can train for speed or endurance, you've been unknowingly training for speed. It's not a character flaw. It's not a failure. It's just habit. But habits can be rewritten. What you need to do now is flip the script. Replace the sprint with a marathon. Give yourself the gift of time. Turn your solo sessions into a practice, not just for pleasure, but for mastery. Set aside a space and time where you won't be rushed. Focus not on finishing, but on feeling. Feel the rise of arousal. Learn to recognize that moment right before you climax, the point of no return. Then stop, breathe, let it pass, start again. This technique, known as edging, isn't just about holding back. It's about taking control. You're retraining your nervous system to respond with strength, not reflex. You're building up your stamina, your control, and your confidence. And when you step into the bedroom with your partner, you'll feel that difference. You'll know that you're no longer at the mercy of automatic reflexes. You're in charge now. I've had patients who practiced this for just 2 weeks and came back to me saying, "Dr. James, for the first time in years, I felt like myself again." Not because of a pill, not because of a pump, but because they slowed down and respected their own body's rhythm. There's also a psychological side to this that most men don't talk about. When you rush, it's often driven by anxiety, fear of being caught, guilt, or just an old habit of hiding. That anxiety doesn't disappear in the bedroom. It follows you. It sits in the back of your mind, whispering doubts, and anxiety is one of the most common erection killers for men over 60. By slowing down, by making masturbation intentional and mindful, you're not just retraining your body, you're also quieting the fear. You're teaching your brain that intimacy is safe, slow, and fully under your control. So I'll leave you with this. Masturbation isn't a race, it's a practice. And when done right, it's one of the most powerful tools you have to restore your strength, rebuild your stamina, and reclaim your confidence. But rushing isn't the only hidden trap. There's another mistake that's silently rewiring your brain in an even more dangerous way, and it's sitting right there in your pocket waiting to steal your arousal before you even realize it. Let's talk about that next. Mistake number 2. Watching porn. Every time, the junk food of sexual health. I still remember the look in his eyes. He was 72, fit for his age, sharp-minded, but there was a sadness behind the way he spoke. "Doc," he said, "I still feel desire. I still want to connect, but when I'm actually with my wife, I just don't feel anything." He paused. "I'm embarrassed to say it, but I rely on porn more than I rely on her." He wasn't the first man to confess that to me, and he certainly won't be the last. The truth is, pornography has become a silent intruder in the lives of many good men, especially those over 60. And it doesn't knock on the door. It just walks in. It's there in your phone, your laptop, your tablet, always available, always ready. It doesn't require conversation. It doesn't get tired. It never says no. At first, it seems harmless, even helpful, a little stimulation to keep things working. But over time, what was meant to awaken your body starts to numb it. Here's what most men don't realize. Your brain wasn't built for endless novelty. When you watch porn, especially if it's every time you masturbate, you're flooding your brain with a level of visual stimulation that no real-life partner can ever match. You're clicking from one video to another, from one body to the next, chasing something new, something more extreme, more exciting. And what's happening behind the scenes is quiet but powerful. Your dopamine system, the part of your brain responsible for motivation and arousal, starts to adapt. It says, "This is the new normal. This is what turns us on now." And that's when the problems begin. Suddenly, the real thing, a warm body, a familiar touch, the woman you've loved for decades, doesn't light the fire like it used to. Not because you don't care, not because the attraction is gone, but because your brain has been rewired to respond only to the intense, artificial highs of pornography. That's what we call desensitization. And for many men, it leads straight to what's now being called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. You can feel desire in your mind, but your body simply won't follow. I've seen it devastate relationships. I've seen men sit in my office, fists clenched, saying, "I don't understand, Dr. James. I want to be with her, I really do. But nothing happens down there unless I turn on a screen." And I always tell them the same thing. There's nothing broken in you, but your brain is responding to what it's been trained to crave. And the good news? You can reverse it. The first step is honesty. Admit that your arousal has been hijacked by pixels and noise. The next step is action. Take a break. Yes, I mean a real digital detox. Delete the shortcuts, close the tabs, remove the triggers, and start rebuilding your natural arousal pathways. It won't be easy at first. Just like someone coming off fast food and trying to enjoy a home-cooked meal again, it takes time for your taste to reset. But it will. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. Give it real, organic input and it will come alive again. Start using your imagination. Think back to moments that truly meant something, those long, slow, intimate nights. Let your memory do the work. Or if you need a stepping stone, try erotic stories or audio. These stimulate your mind without the overwhelming visual impact that leads to desensitization. Most importantly, focus on sensation. Your own touch, your own breath, the rise and fall of real arousal. One of my patients, 65 years old, followed this exact advice. He came back after 3 weeks and told me, "Dr. James, for the first time in years, I had sex without needing a screen, and I felt everything." His voice cracked when he said it. That's what healing looks like, not just physically, but emotionally. Now, I'm not here to judge. I know how easy it is to fall into the habit, but I also know how powerful it is to reclaim control over your own desire, to make your brain yours again. Because once you do, the connection you feel with yourself and with your partner becomes deeper, richer, and far more satisfying than any video on a screen. But we're not done yet. There's one more mistake, and this one's different. It doesn't start in the brain, it starts in the hand. And it might be the reason even when your mind is in the right place, your body just doesn't respond. What you're about to hear may surprise you, but it might also set you free. Let's talk about it next. Mistake number 3, the death grip. Same hand, same way, every time. I want to tell you about a man named Gerald. He was 69, recently retired, and had always prided himself on staying healthy and active, but he came to see me with a problem he couldn't fix at the gym. "Doc," he said quietly, "I feel everything just fine when I'm alone, but when I'm with my partner, it's like nothing happens. It's like my body forgets what to do." I asked him how he masturbated. He shrugged and said, "Same way I always have. Same hand, same grip, lying face down, just like I've done since I was a teenager." That one sentence told me everything I needed to know. What Gerald didn't realize, and what so many men don't realize, is that masturbation is a form of training. And when we repeat the same intense technique over and over again, especially for decades, our body becomes conditioned to only respond to that exact stimulation. We call this the death grip. It sounds dramatic, but it's real. Over time, your nerve endings get so used to one kind of pressure, one kind of friction, one position, that anything less intense just doesn't register the same way. It's like tuning your ears to hear only thunder and then being surprised when you can't hear a whisper. In practical terms, this means that when you're with a real person, the softer, more natural sensations of intercourse don't feel strong enough. Your body says this isn't it, and the arousal slips away. That can lead to embarrassment, frustration, even shame, especially when you care deeply about your partner and want to give them your best. You might even begin to avoid intimacy, not because you don't want it, but because you're afraid you can't rise to the moment. But here's what I want every man listening to know. There's nothing wrong with your body that can't be retrained. You're not broken. You've just been consistent. Too consistent with your solo routine, and that consistency, while comforting, is the very thing holding you back. The good news is, you can fix this, and you don't need medication or surgery. What you need is curiosity. You need to become an explorer again. The same way you once discovered what felt good, you now need to rediscover variety. Start by switching hands. If you always use your right, try your left. If you grip tightly, try loosening it. Use a lubricant to reduce friction and make the sensations more gentle, more real. Try lying on your back, sitting up, or even standing. Change your rhythm, your pace, your pressure. This isn't about performance, it's about awareness, about reconnecting your body to a wider range of feelings so that when you're with someone, your body doesn't panic or shut down. It recognizes the experience as familiar, pleasurable, safe. That's when confidence returns. That's when connection becomes effortless again. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s turn their intimacy around just by making these simple changes. One man told me, "I feel like I finally broke out of a box I didn't even know I was in." Another said, "I didn't just get my erection back, I got my excitement back." It's remarkable how often the solution isn't doing more. It's doing differently, and it starts with giving yourself permission to change the routine. Not because what you were doing was wrong, but because your body deserves more range, more freedom, more responsiveness. So if you've been doing the same thing, the same way, for years, take this as your invitation to try something new. Not for the sake of novelty, but for the sake of growth, for the sake of reclaiming a part of yourself that might have gotten lost along the way. Now, we've covered a lot, from the damage of rushing, to the overstimulation of porn, to the numbness created by repetition. But we're not quite done yet, because in just a moment, I'm going to share one final practice, something simple, often overlooked, but incredibly powerful. And it could be the missing link between quiet confidence and awkward hesitation in the bedroom. Stay with me because this last tip might surprise you. Conclusion: use masturbation as training, not a trap. If you've made it this far, I want to say something important, something I don't think men hear enough, especially as we age. There is nothing shameful about wanting to feel good in your body. There is nothing weak about wanting to be strong again. And there is nothing foolish about learning how to take care of yourself, no matter what age you are. Masturbation isn't the problem. In fact, when done right, it can be one of the most powerful tools we have as older men to maintain circulation, control, and sexual confidence. But as we've seen today, it's how you do it that makes all the difference. If you rush through it like a chore, you teach your body to respond quickly, too quickly, when what you really want is to last longer and feel more. If you depend on porn every time, you desensitize your mind to the beauty of real-life connection, turning your desire into a craving for fantasy that real intimacy can't satisfy. And if you do it the same way, every time with the same grip and pressure, you slowly train your body to go numb to anything else, leaving you confused and frustrated when real touch doesn't feel the way it should. I've worked with hundreds of men who've struggled in silence with these very challenges. And I've watched them turn things around, not with pills, not with gadgets, but with awareness, patience, and consistency. I've seen marriages healed. I've seen self-esteem restored. I've seen men who thought their best days were behind them come back stronger, more connected, and more alive than they've felt in years. So use this as your wake-up call, not to stop touching yourself, but to start doing it with intention. Let it be your training ground, your reset button, your quiet practice of power and presence. You have more control than you think, and your best days, intimately, emotionally, physically, might still be ahead. You've done the hardest part by listening. Now it's time to take action. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Click the like button, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. And if you'd like to support this channel and help me keep making honest, life-changing content for men like you, consider making a small donation. Every bit helps, and I'm truly grateful.